Hey guys, it's Clarrisani here. It's been quite a while since my last video, and as you can see, today is all audio, no video. And that's because I'm just tired of trying to match up the sync. Anyway, my daughter started school today, and it made me think maybe I might do a video about why I stopped teaching. So here we go. Today we're going to go through the top 10 reasons why I stopped teaching, and these reasons are in no particular order, but here we go, the top 10 reasons why I stopped teaching. Number one is the most obvious one that most people complain about, and that is the workload. The amount of work you actually have to do as a teacher, from planning, marking, researching, plus all the administrative duties, it's amazing. I mean, you have to teach upwards of, well, at least in Australia, you can teach up 200 people, 200 students, and you've got to do planning for each of those classes, you've got to do marking for each of those classes, you've got to write the tests, you've got to write all of the planning, and of course there's all the administrative duties that goes with the job, and that it's not surprising to see a teacher with burnout. So number one for me is got to be a workload. Number two is bullying. Bullying is unfortunately common in nearly every workplace, and it's nothing new for teaching either. And I don't just mean bullying by the students, because believe me, teachers get bullied by the students. You think they're vicious to each other, those kids, but they're vicious to teachers as well. But there's also bullying amongst the staff. I was bullied, unfortunately, by some of my colleagues, and it got me down quite bad, and it was one of the reasons I eventually had a nervous breakdown. So bullying is number two for me. Number three, micromanagement. Now this is actually part of the bullying that happened to me, but some teachers, some schools micromanage every single minute of the day. You have to have your classes planned to the second as to what you're going to be doing, and it's ridiculous, honestly, how much planning you have to put into it, how much managing you have to put into it, because anyone that's actually taught can tell you could have the most perfect plan to the second, and you're not going to go through with it. You're lucky if you're going to get through half of it, because you never know. You've got 30 kids coming in, each of them have their own lives, their own things that are going on, and any one of them can change the entire class, can take you off plan, and there are teachers that can't go off plan, they fret. But for me, it was not just the micromanaging and the planning, of having to do the planning, but I actually had people looking over my shoulder all the time. They wanted to see my planning for an entire year, for every single class, on day one. And they were looking at every single thing I was doing. They were making sure I was marking. They were actually literally standing outside of the classroom, looking through the window, watching me teach, to make sure I was staying on plan. So for me, the micromanagement played a large role in my quitting of teaching. Number four for me is the lack of respect. There is absolutely no respect of the teachers by the students. And when you have your boss on your back saying to you, you must have the students respect you, it's a joke. It's just not going to happen, because you're not there to be the student's best friend. It's a bonus if you get along with your students, but you're not there to be their best friend. You're basically the adult in the room. And the students look down on you. They see you as, particularly if the school I was at, there was a lot of looking down upon of the women, and I was a not very tall girl, and at the time I was quite thin, so I was very easily knocked over, and of course in the latter part of my teaching I was also disabled. So the lack of respect, and I also had, coming with the bullying, the lack of respect from my colleagues. My colleagues did not respect me. I was there to be used. I was just a tool. So yeah, that's number 4 for me, was the lack of respect. Number 5, for me at least, was the fear for my safety. I was always terrified that something was going to happen, and things did. I mean, I saw some quite vicious attacks amongst the students. I saw some injuries. I had students up in my face yelling at me, and when you're small, you have a 6'4" teenage boy, solidly built rugby player, standing in your face, yelling at you. It is terrifying, and you've got to hold your ground. So I remember actually asking for surveillance in one of my classrooms. I feared for my safety that much, and I was knocked back. They said it was because of policy, but in the end, it turned out to be true, because that leads into number 6. My fears were ground-founded. I was assaulted twice by my students, so number 6 is the assaults. I was assaulted twice by my students and left permanently disabled by them. I kept teaching for 2 years after I was injured, until I was assaulted again. And that was the class that I asked for surveillance, and they said no, and then they attacked me again. So my fears for my safety were realised. And I was terrified that it would happen again, because the kids knew that they could get away with it. They didn't respect you. They knew they could get away with hurting the teacher. I was terrified that they would kill me, honestly. I was terrified they were going to kill me. Number 7 is the fact that teachers, in the scheme of things, come dead last. The most important thing in the school is the administration, the top tier, the principal. Students come, honestly, fairly low on the priority list, as bad as that sounds. But teachers come last. You're expendable. Teachers are, for the most part, expendable. And you get that impression. The way you're used, the way you're talked to, even the way they cast me off at the end. They don't stand up for you when things go wrong. And when a parent gets upset, the parent's always right. Even when the student's the worst little shit to have ever been in a school. No, it's not the student, it's the teacher. So the fact that teachers come last played a huge role in why I eventually quit. Number 8 is the unrealistic expectations. Now, I taught in a school that was 70% ESL, English second language. And even though that language was a massive barrier, and a lot of the students did not speak English at home, they still expected all of them to be learning and be at the same range as in terms of their studies and expectations as students that have been speaking English all their lives. The expectations on the students are the expectations that every single student will be doing above average, when if you have ever taught at a school, you're going to have students that aren't above average. They're going to have some that are wording below, and even the smallest thing is a win. But what you see as a win, thinking, oh, this student's done this thing, it's a massive step for them, because it's still not at the range that they should be at, according to the state. It's seen as a loss. So the unrealistic expectations on the students and on the teachers, it's amazing what parents, they expect you to be a miracle worker. They expect you to be a parent to the kids. They expect you to be a miracle worker. Hell, there was even a kid in year 7 that couldn't tie his own shoes, and they expected the teachers to be able to teach him how to tie his own shoes. I am not even joking. It is unrealistic what they expect you to do for those kids. And of course, that leads into number 9, the fact there is way too much testing. I don't just mean exams. There are mini exams, there are pop quizzes, there are all sorts of things. And of course the NAPLAN, the National Applied Learning, whatever they call the bullshit thing, where they get every student to sit down and complete a test, and then they rank them according to where they've come. And they rank the schools according to how they did on this test, and you spend a whole month teaching students just how to do the test. In fact, the majority of your time as a teacher is teaching students how to finish tests, which means you're not teaching them the actual practical stuff, the stuff that they're going to need when they go out into the world. You're too busy teaching to the tests. There is just far too much testing. It needs to be dumped, honestly. The testing needs to be dropped. Maybe do it in the final years of their schooling life, but testing needs to go. And number 10 on my list of things is the politics. It's teaching is only something like 5% standing in front of the kids. There's the administrative duties, and then there's the actual politics within the school. You have to be able to get onto the good sides of certain teachers if you want to get anywhere. You've got to be a brown noser. You've got to kiss ass. And if you don't do that, which I didn't, because I don't like licking people's boots, then you're going to get put on the outer. And if you get put on the outer, you're going to get treated like shit, and you're not going to get anywhere. And honestly, I don't want to be running around kissing somebody's boots or worshipping the ground they work on when I know that they're not working on doing anything better than anyone else in the bloody school just because that they're higher up and they've kissed enough ass to get up higher. It's just way too much politics involved. And when all's said and done, I just can't be bothered with it. I really can't. So anyway, that's the 10 reasons, 10 of the reasons why I quit teaching, so I'll go over them again. 1 was the workload, 2 was the bullying, 3 micromanagement, 4 the lack of respect, 5 fear for the safety, and 6 assaults, 7 teachers that come last in the scheme of things, 8 the unrealistic expectations placed on the students, 9 way too much testing involved, and 10 politics. And I should point out that testing isn't just the students. The teachers get tested too. And we get tested on stupid stuff. It's part of the politics. So yeah, they're the 10 reasons why, 10 of the reasons that I quit teaching. And hopefully I'll be doing some more videos in future. There probably won't be 10 lists, but I guess I'll see you all next time.